Hey, this is Daniel from Boujuke Productions, and today we are doing the last part of our little mini-series on travel planning. This time we're talking about budgeting and a few different other things. Now, budgeting is very important, not just to travel, but to your day-to-day, where you are thinking about your basically your own accounting, your life's accounting, all your taxes, all those different things. And one of the things that you want to budget if you want to go on trips is the budget for travel planning. It's something that's slightly different from away from your actual expenses. It's something that you're planning to do so that you can use and pull out of your income and into somewhere else, such as a vacation. And the first thing I do is I do a spreadsheet basically. So I did not make the spreadsheet. It looks way too nice, but it is something that I looked at and I went, okay, this is basically what I wanted to use. So I didn't want to make the Excel sheet, so this is the thing I'm going to use, but I'll put down a link down below on where I found it if you guys ever want to use the travel budget. Okay, so now we're doing the travel planning budget. We're going to start off with using not the stuff at the top here, because I don't really use it as I have a set budget on what I want. But let's say you're doing a trip from here in Seattle to Phoenix, because I kind of did the trip already, so this is going to be a little easier on me. But I said I don't have a total budget. The total expenses is what's going to be based on the expenses down below here, and then you'll see the difference sometimes. Some people will set a budget. If they're going to go on a big trip, like say a long week, they might put in $1,000 or $2,000 in their budget flat, and everything, including the flight, hotels, car rentals, all of the things that they're going to do is all going to be in that same budget. And then your total expenses, that the actual expenses that you actually make, whatever difference of that is what you save on in your budget to go put into something else or put it to next year, things like that. And you'll see what shows up in this budget. It's a cool little Excel sheet. As I said, didn't make it, but yeah, let's get into it a little bit here. So the first thing that we're gonna talk about is your flight. So you're gonna budget your flight. Flight is gonna be the most, how do I say? It's gonna be the most expensive, one-dimensional type of thing. Like last video, I said that I would go to Google Flights. Google Flights is a great location to start out with, just as a way to see prices and look at flexibility as well. So right now we just have some random date here, September 16th to the 18th, Seattle to Phoenix, just because I did go to Phoenix, so I know some of the prices a little bit to get to it. The cheapest looks like it's going to be $188 at not bad time. 8:04 a.m. means you get to experience Phoenix when you touch down, in the afternoon, get some lunch, things like that. So you're going to grab that. And then here it's a little tricky. Looking at the 18th, it looks like 188 is only going to be 6 a.m. But let's say you want to, enjoy the day as you leave a little bit. You're going to pick something. If you pick something expensive like 293, that's kind of be based on what your budget is. But you don't want to rush yourself leaving the Phoenix here back to Seattle. So let's go ahead and just pick that, and then you'll get to book it here. And that's typical for this time. September is a pretty nice location in Phoenix, and it's not too hot. It's probably like 90 degrees out there. But as you can tell, you could book it with Alaska. You could book it on Google, but it really directs you to Alaska, and it's at $293. So we're going to go back to our budget at $293 for the flight. So you're going to do quantity of 1, so the 1 quantity, because you're only going to be flying 1 flight round trip, unless you're doing something like a one-way to somewhere like on Alaska and one way back on a Delta. That's when you put 2, but it's kind of hard because it doesn't make sense to put that such, but $293, okay? And then in this, you'll see it, the budget goes up to 100% on transportation, because a flight is a part of transportation. And you can play around with this. There's categories here, so there's transportation, lodging, food, entertainment. It's set up really well, streamlined to set it up so that you know what you're paying for each. So we went with flight being $293 to Phoenix on that date. Now, it depends on who you are, but when I go to Phoenix, it's a very large city that it's better to drive there and drive a rental car than it is to use an Uber. It's going to be really up to how you're planning that trip, but if you do want to go to multiple different places, it's actually better to rent a car. So this tab here for Uber and taxi and bus might be a little harder to budget because you might rent a car and that may take away from ever using Uber. So this could be 0. So let's just go with 2 Ubers for I don't know, $20 each. That's a very generous thing that you may not do, but I'll just put it in there. And you see it's $40. Rental car. Now, I'm not going to show the rental car's prices and everything like that, but just know that a rental car can be roughly $50 to $100 a day, depending on what type of car that you're driving, as well as all the other things. And I discussed that about rental cars a little bit before that. You're only going to drive one rental car, and unit cost, as I said, it's going to be around $50 to $100 a day, plus insurance, incidental things, surcharges and stuff like that. I'd say for a weekend trip, you're looking at about $150 for the car. And then parking, same thing. If you're renting a car, you might have to park. So the hotel that I went to in Scottsdale, an old Marriott hotel, I think it was like $10, $15 to park. So if you're doing it for 2 nights, and say for $15, there you go. That's parking. All right. So next up is lodging. In your budget, you're going to determine what your lodging is going to be. Is it going to be a hotel? Is it going to be a resort? Is it going to be an Airbnb? Whichever one that you end up choosing, it's just going to factor into your cost. So a hotel or an accommodation is subjective to how much you split it, but let's say you're going by yourself. So I went ahead and pre-searched Phoenix for the day. I made sure to put in to rates and taxes and fees. Now this is where you're going to look at a hotel and see what the price you want it to be. Make sure that you're knowing that these prices, the taxes and fees are included, but it is based on per night of your stays. Now for me, when I'm looking through here, it's good to find the cheapest ones, but you also want the ones that are suitable for you and your family. This one here I actually stayed at, the Spring Hill Suites Phoenix downtown. Kind of generic looking hotel, but it was good. It was very centrally located in downtown Phoenix. It's free parking. It's very walkable to downtown Phoenix, and it was not bad. The decor was but you know, that's alright. $212, it's kind of expensive. You can also sort it by price and distance and things like that. If you sort by price, of course it's going to be slightly different. Seeing the cheapest hotels here, we have, look at this score, it's a 2.9. Oh, that's terrible. A couple of Sheratons, a Courtyard, another Spring Hill Suites, kind of North Scottsdale. That's actually not too bad, 144. And then this is where you're just going to keep looking. You're going to look at either the website, so me just being part of Marriott, I'll be looking at the Marriott website. You could always look at Booking.com or Expedia and take a look and see what they have, because they could have cheaper prices, you don't know, but it also has a different array of different hotels and things like that. But yeah, let's say the Scottsdale one's not bad. It's 144. You're gonna look at the rates, all right, and then total costs, as you see here, is gonna be $308.45. So you can technically put into this budget for lodging 2 nights, technically, just to make it simpler. So it's 154. This is it. 154. Boom. Oh man, that budget right there is killer. It's already $821 as your expense. Now, of course, some of it kind of is whatever. I mean, rental cars probably not $150. It's just I'm estimating it. And Uber and taxi, you probably won't take it anyways. So there's a cost difference on that. But wow, that flight is expensive. And that hotel, 308, oof. But that's the normal price. $154 for a night at a hotel is pretty standard, actually. So going down further, you have the things like breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks, as well as going in for entertainment, souvenirs, drinks, things like that. So all of this stuff is things that will be very, very sporadic. It really depends on who you are, who you're with, and how much you like want to eat and go out. You can always, budget everything to like breakfast. Yeah, some people don't eat breakfast, so you can really skip out on that. But the rule of thumb that I have is the 10-20-30 rule. So breakfast, so you're gonna go not for by your nights, you're basing it off the days. So if you're going for a weekend, it's 3 days 2 nights. So you're going Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So your breakfast is going to be based on your budget of that day. It's that breakfast is 3, same thing for lunch, same thing for dinner, and then same thing for snacks, just in case. These 3 days, breakfast, lunch, dinner, if you went with the rule, it's $10 for breakfast, $20 for lunch, and $30 for dinner. And then for snacks and drinks, it really depends, but I tend to budget this at $10 a day. There. So that's food. So the way I do it is that even if you don't eat breakfast, you might move that money as your budget towards other things like lunch and dinner. Now, your dinner is not always going to be $30 a day, but you might as well budget it so that your food prices, whatever you think that you can handle in terms of your price, will be the price point that you want. Now, know that dinner tends to be more expensive than lunch, and lunch being more expensive than breakfast. But if you go to a fancy breakfast place, like a brunch, you can kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Or you can skip breakfast and go straight to lunch. And then that money you can use as a savings onto other things. Next up is going to be entertainment. Entertainment is really subjective, as I said. So you can actually just write in a couple of things that you want to do. So one of the things that I did in Phoenix was the stadium tour at Petco Park. So you can type in Petco Park tour, and that, because I paid it just for myself, was $14. And then another entertainment that I did was bowling. I actually bowled twice, but for this exercise we're just gonna do it once here. And I went bowling and it cost me about $30. And I didn't eat any food or anything like that. I think I ordered 1 drink and that was really it. So that could be budgeted into your bowling, into your expense for entertainment, or it could be budgeted into the expenses of your snacks and drinks. That's how you can get some flexibility in this budget. Next up is souvenirs and gifts. I didn't actually buy anything when I really got there. I filmed a lot of stuff, so that's usually free. It's just based on my camera budget. But this could be anything. Normally I budget where if you get a souvenir or a gift for like friends and family, you're looking at 2-ish in your quantity, and you're looking at about $20 to $30. So if you want to round that, it's about $25 each at a $50 credit for your souvenirs and gifts. And then the next thing I budget, which is not notated into this Excel sheet, is something called incidentals. This is where I just make sure that I have a little bit of a buffer in my budget. So the buffer being $50. This being said, it's just something to make sure that if you have to have any issues, or say you want to do something bigger than just $34 in entertainment. Yeah, I mean, if you're going to a show, you're going to some type of big event, that's going to cost you a lot more. So that is going to be based on your budget. So as we're looking down here, looks like our travel planning budget is $1,175. It's actually not bad. For a weekend trip, yeah, that's expensive. Your weekend trip should be around $600 to $800 is probably more likely. And that could be because your rental car is way too expensive. Let's make that $80. And then, say your dinner is not actually going to be $30. You're going to change that to $20 instead. So you can keep getting your budget down, but as I said, you can always have a total budget. You could put in, say, I don't know, $1,500. The actual difference to that is $425. So you can play around with that money, or you can get those total expenses down. So that's the budget that we're talking about. This is a fundamental accounting for you. It's not super hard. It's not that simple though, because you need to make sure that you're putting in and categorizing everything down to the T. So that was budgeting. I went a little long on that, but it's very important for you to do that. There's a few things that I wanted to go over just a little bit at the end here. So here's the travel planning budget. You are set to go on your budget. If you have $1,500 and you want to fly out to somewhere, those are your numbers and things like that. Of course, your budget might change. You could be like me and have a really budgeted flight. And my flight is not $293. It's $12. And of course, 27,000 Delta points. Yeah. How do you value those Delta points, and how do you get the Delta points? You get the Delta Gold Amex credit card. Also, you just rack up by flying Delta. Uber and taxi, I think, is going to be a little bit different because I'm splitting it with a friend. You're looking at about maybe $60 per person. And this is going to be based on a lot of trips and stuff like that, so I'm only going to do it based on one. I'm not having a rental car, so parking doesn't matter to me. Hotel, I'm staying 3 nights, but the first 2 hotels is going to be a free night with the ISG credit card. And then the second is going to be 40,000 points using ISG at the same hotel. So that's 2 nights for free. And then I am paying another night for $160. Divide that by 2 people, you're looking at $80. Breakfast, I don't eat breakfast, so that's $0. Lunch, yeah, I'm gonna keep it at $20. I'm gonna keep dinner at $20. I'm staying for 4 nights technically, so I'm gonna do that. It's 3 nights, 4 days, 3 nights. Snacks and drinks. This one I don't value as much because I don't really get snacks and drinks that much. So we're gonna pick it out at $10 each. Entertainment, I'm gonna remove this line straight up. And entertainment, I'm just gonna value at $160. And I'm just gonna say stuff. Souvenirs and gifts, I might get a souvenir here and there, so I'm gonna keep that but not for $25, but I'm gonna get it like a shot glass or something like that for $10. And then incidental stays at $50. So really, my budget is at $562 roughly. That's where you were wanting to get your budget down to. If you want to get on to a trip for an extended weekend, you're going to utilize your 27,000 points, your free night of ISG, and your 40,000 ISG credit cards. But I do have to say those values are going to be quite a bit. That 27,000 point to me is valued at 0.08 cents per point. So that's going to be valued at $216. That free night with ISG is going to be roughly valued at $150. The 40,000 ISG points, ISG does not value their points as much, so we're looking at 40,000 times probably 5 cents per point. Or no, 0.05 cents per point. So you're looking at about $200 for the hotel. So looking at that, yeah, I have $350 plus $550 plus $562. You're looking at about $1,000. But this is how you're going to save a little bit. You're going to save up points. You're going to get a credit card to pay for one of your hotel nights. And then you're going to go on a little bit budget trip like this. So things can work. It's just that, will it work? And how will it work? And how much are you going to budget? It really depends on who you are. how you're going to budget, but make sure you do a budget so that you make sure you don't spend buttloads of money all on travel. Alrighty? That was Daniel here, Boujuke Productions. Thanks for watching this mini-series here. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and I will see you next week.